If you've ever wondered why depression feels so physically heavy, or why low moods seem to attract more negativity into your life, this episode explores depression through the lens of frequency and resonance, and why misery loves company might be more literal than you think.
This is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life, and I just burped directly into the microphone, but you guys are going to see that because I edited it out. And today is Monday Mindset. All right, cool. So yesterday I was talking about, I was talking about demons, and I was talking about fear, and I was talking about love, and I was talking about how these things interplay, and I was talking about the idea of slaying your demons and all the rest of it, but actually, what if we could just love? What if we could just love? And the power, the actual power of that, right? But I wanted to bring it back to something that maybe felt a little less esoteric and a little more realistic. All right. So depression is a word that people like bound around all the time. Yeah. People are constantly saying like, oh, I feel so depressed, right? But actual like clinical depression, like long-term chronic depression is definitely a different kind of thing, right? But either which way, I think that most people can identify with the feeling of emotional heaviness that comes from being in low mood. So I find it impossible to believe that somebody's upbeat and cheerful all the time. And if you're sitting there saying, I am, then you're just big fat lying to yourself about how you feel. Sorry to inform you, that's a life of denial and distortion. But so I think that everybody has days, weeks, hopefully not months, where they feel low mood and they feel this feeling of emotional heaviness. And people talk about depression and feeling depressed or having low mood. And they talk about like the kind of like practical behavioral things that you can look out for if you're experiencing low mood. So, the idea of, insomnia or oversleeping, a lack of motivation to do anything, isolation, a lack of self-care, not having interest in the things that you're usually interested in, intrusive thoughts, lack of tolerance for yourself or others, and then going into I don't know, behavior, like real significant behavioral stuff, like suicidal ideation and plans of suicide, and I don't know, aggression, volatility, those sorts of things. Yeah. So that's like the behavioral stuff that would definitely tell you if they're the symptoms. Yeah. That is what is symptomatic of having depression or being in low mood. But I think one of the things that people really don't talk about is that feeling of emotional weight, that feeling of emotional heaviness. Because I know for me, and I know a lot of people that I've spoken to who suffer with fluctuating moods, there was a period in my life where I was seriously depressed, like really unwell. And then I get glimpses of it again when I go into like periods of low mood. But there's just a feeling of heaviness in the body. There's a feeling of like despair and blackness. And people don't really talk about how physically painful it is to feel like that. And that's a lot of the time what motivates or what causes that lack of motivation, because you're just in this constant visceral pain, this emotional pain, but it's in your body. The feelings are in your body. It's like the chemicals in your body are pumping something out, and it actually physically hurts. So the thought of getting up and washing yourself just feels too much to bear, because that pain is fucking exhausting. It's really fucking exhausting, right? And I think the issue is, and the reason why, right, it turns from like a low mood that you're having one day to the next day to a week to months to then years of chronic and pervasive depression, right, is because it's like this compound effect. So I think we all know the saying, misery loves company, right? And I think it's the same in terms of our emotional body, right? That visceral pain, that visceral feeling that we have. It's this idea of resonance, yeah? So what we're resonating at, like a magnet, attracts more of that, right? And I only know this through all of those experiences that I had with all these demons, right? Where a good friend of mine said to me, well, all that's happening is these things are not good or bad, right? They're not like out to get you. You've just become obvious to them. You've come up in their line of sight. They can see you because you're resonating on the same frequency. So whether it's guilt or shame or fear or lust or, I don't know, greed or whatever it is, right? They're noticing you. They're noticing you. That's what he was saying to me. They're noticing you. And then because they notice you and you have something that feels good to them, they come and they attach themselves to you. And then once they attach to you, they're just like siphoning and sucking and like a parasite just living on that energy. And where they're living on it, they need more of it. So they create more of it. And then they get you to notice, or you became, not even get you because they can't actually fucking do anything, right? But like little whispers and suggestions of like, oh well, look at that person has what I don't have, or like, oh god, there I am just like being an absolute useless waste of space again, and whatever else, right? So you're just like compounding and compounding this feeling. And I think it's the same in terms of like life, right? That when we feel that low mood or we feel that more negative, those lower vibrations, that even if you don't want to think about it in that way, we are still drawing towards us, right? The same energy. So the question is, how do we get out of it? Yeah. How do we change our frequency? Because I know for me, definitely when I'm in that space, it feels an arduous task to even, I don't know, think of something happy, right? That I think of happy things and then I'm immediately like, yeah, but I don't have that. Yeah, but that's not how I feel right now. Yeah, but this, that, and the other, right? It's really, really hard to even find, let alone hold, let alone maintain that higher frequency. So this week in Chrysalis Tools, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust that the process that I take you through is going to help, is going to support in a way that is more practical to be able to move from those lower vibrations that just invite and resonate more of those lower vibrations to then be able to get up to those higher vibrations, that more loving vibration, so that those things can be kind of obliterated. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, come back on Thursday for Chrysalis Tools and we'll go through a little practice. But for now, on Monday Mindset, that's it.
That emotional heaviness you feel during low mood, it's not just in your head, it's a frequency that attracts more of the same energy. Drop a comment about your experience with the physical weight of depression or how you've noticed low mood attracting more negativity. Thursday's Chrysalis Tools will give you a practical way to shift from lower to higher vibrations.